This last week, this is the last week of Neighbors, and not that means that we stop doing Neighbors and being neighbors, but this is the last week of our series, and so what I was kind of torn. Last week I told you we were going to talk about kind of what God hates, and when you go to research a message throughout the week, you kind of sometimes you don't feel that God's leading you in that direction. He kind of takes you in a different place, and so this week, that's the reason why the food came up at the last moment, is because it was kind of a last moment thing for me. As I was going through looking at how Jesus does some things when he shows up, and when we think about this, when we often talk about why Jesus came, we look at it and we go, he came to seek and save the lost, right? He gave himself and he gave his life as a ransom, as payment for sins, so that we may have life, right? Isn't that why Jesus came? But how did he come? That's a big question, is how did he come? Because we go, oh, he came in preaching, and he came in healing, and he came in teaching. Luke 7, verse 34. The Son of Man came eating and drinking. That's what it says. He came eating and drinking. So much so that he's accused of it. He's accused of eating and drinking too much. I've got more in common with Jesus than I originally thought. I'm accused of eating and drinking too much. It's what happens a lot of times. But this is exactly what happens. As neighbors, look at this. When you look around, we do food and we come together. When food happens, people come together. So today we're going to have a class on meals in the New Testament. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit. In Luke's gospel, Jesus is always going to a meal, coming from a meal, at a meal, just talking about a meal. He's always someplace. Meals, like for me, sometimes I open up the car and I find a Big Mac underneath the seat, right? That's not a joke, I'm telling you. I found one down there. The four major food groups. It's McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, and Burger King. No, that's not a major food group. That's just what are we going to do? There's nothing else left that's going to talk about. And so now you want me to do this caged-free almond milk with flaxseed or something in it. And I go, what is, yeah, I don't understand it. I don't get it. With meals, there's intimacy. There's fellowship. There's this experience at his presence. It's amazing. Before he gives his life, he shares a meal with us. He shares a meal. Meals are the common theme here. In fact, when you open it up and you look at Acts 42, if you look at the lens of community and you start looking at this fellowship that happens, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship. And here's the thing, and to the breaking of bread and to prayer. It's important here. Look, they devoted themselves to the breaking of bread, to coming together and having meals together and spending time with one another and spending time in prayer and fellowship. Now, I want you to think about something and go, have you devoted yourself to, one, the teaching of God, the teaching of when Jesus was here, the apostles that was out there. So, they're talking the teaching there. Have you devoted yourself to that and to fellowship? To fellowship with one another, to have time with one another, spend time loving one another, to actually help one another, and to the breaking of bread. Right? We're always in prayer. Sometimes you don't even call it prayer. You just got this chain of thought that's going sometimes, but I'll tell you, is a lot of times you're probably praying more often than you think you are. So I want you to go back and I want you to look at this and I want you to think, how much are you fellowshipping? When you were sitting at the table this morning out in the lobby eating, were you fellowshipping? Were you talking? Right? Isn't that so much more than walking in? Isn't that so much better than walking in and going to the seat, sitting down? Don't talk to me, I'm at church. Church sucks. Why does it suck? Because you didn't actually have a relationship with anybody. You didn't talk to anybody. You didn't sit down and go, hey, how you doing? You just sat there and, I don't want anybody to talk to me. I don't want to deal with anybody. It's easy over a meal. Jesus so often sat down and had a meal. He had dinner. He had breakfast. He had lunch. He sat down and it created intimacy. It said all the believers were together. I skipped a verse. Everyone was filled in awe and the many wonders of the signs performed by the apostles. all the believers were together and they had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone in need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. This is where it gets important. You start looking at it, it goes, every day. Now, we're not going to start doing church every day, but they got together daily. There's something to be said about having an intimate relationship with people besides just your spouse. And by intimate, I'm not referring to a sexual type relationship. I'm referring to an intimate where you know each other well, that there's an intimacy that you guys are able to share things. You know one another. You know, it's like, do you have those people around you? Because we go, oh, we're all neighbors. But do you have people that you're intimate with? Or are you just literally Facebook neighbors? Or maybe your actual neighbors that you live next to. Are you neighbors with them? Do you actually have a relationship with them? Do you know them? Do you intimately know them? Do you know their kids' names? And you go, oh, no, they don't have kids at home. Do you know what their kids' names are when they're not at home? Do you know their kids' names away from home? Do you know them? Do you know what grade their kids? You live right next door to these people. You know, you start looking at them, you start going, do you have these relationships? They meet together in the temple courts, they broke bread in their homes, and they ate together with glad and sincere hearts. Start thinking about this. And you start going, why do I feel so distant from God? Because you feel so distant from everybody else in the room. That's why. You feel distant from God because you are distant from everybody else around you. You go, oh, I come to church, I get my pew miles in, I spend some time, you know. And the thing is that you're not actually coming here and actually having a relationship. You walk in, you go, oh, get me out of here. You talk too much, you're not funny, I'm out of here, bye. Instead of going, how do I actually have a relationship? How do I have somebody, how do I spend time in getting to know people? You found that the lobby is the quickest way to your car. Instead of being the lobby is the quickest way to start meeting people, to hang out and actually start having a relationship with people in the building. You're like, nope, gotta go. What do you mean? I don't care about coffee. That means somebody's going to try to talk to me, and you keep walking. Instead of actually stopping and going, you know, if I stand here for probably more than a minute, I bet that 2 or 3 people will come and talk to me because they're going to go, are you lost? Can I help you? Hi, I'm Mike. I am a little lost. Looking for a friend. No, don't say that. That's kind of weird. But if you did, I'm sure you would find a couple. I'm sure that you would actually find some people here that want to actually break bread with you and get to know you and love you and help you through the things to where you don't have a burden. You go, I got all these burdens. I have all these things that are on my plate. Well, who are you dealing with them with? How are you getting through it together? Or you're like, no, I got this. I can carry it all on my own. Really? How's that going for you? They broke bread in their homes, and they ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And here's the thing, is that the Lord added to their numbers daily those who were being saved. Those relationships, that's what actually helps people become disciples of Christ. That's what happens, relationships. Not me up here preaching. That's not what does it. It's the relationships. This here is a time of teaching. And we've turned it into a time of, well, Mike's going to do all the work. No, the relationships are where the work happens at. This here is a time for us to grow closer. This here is a time for us to get to know God and then be able to go out into the mission field and be able to have that relationship out there. That's what this time is. But true growth happens through our relationships with one another outside of this building or inside of the lobby or outside or when we do meals. Or that's the reason why they got together daily, is because they helped one another grow. They studied the Word. They spent time helping one another get through it. You know, we look here and we go, we start trying to break up and we start trying to compartmentalize what happens. Do they have air conditioning there? If they don't have air conditioning, I'm not going. Not going to happen either. You know, or even get to this point where we start looking at it and we go, I'm not going outside because there's online shopping available now. I mean, have you started noticing this? There's less people going out and actually in the stores getting to know even the cashier because Amazon has taken over. You're going, I paid $100 for free shipping. I don't think that's free shipping anymore. I think you paid you've already paid in advance for shipping is really what's happened. You know, and you even got to this point, some of us, you don't even know what your front door looks like anymore because you only come out through the garage door. You know, you don't answer the calls. People call you. If they, you know, you look at the caller ID, you know, I don't know that number. You don't pick that up. You don't answer that. I remember when I was a kid, I lived in the area we lived in. Our number was one number off from the Red Lobster. So our number was 222-9750. Okay, and the Red Lobster was 223-9750. One number off, and it's major prefix. So our phone rang all the time. I mean, I'd pick it up, and hello? Yeah, I'd like to make a reservation. We don't take those. Click. Hello? Hey, do you guys have lobster there? Nope. Click. I mean, I'm sure the Red Lobster lost tons of business because I started getting mean at some point. But there was no caller ID. You had to take those. You were like, you got to answer everything because you wanted to talk to people. You've gotten to this point in your life, you don't want to talk to people anymore. You even know who's calling. You look at it and go, ooh. That's going to be more than 5 minutes. Not taking that one. They're going to want something. Not taking that one. Ooh, why is the church calling? Ooh. They're going to ask me to volunteer. No. Not taking that one. See, isn't that what happens? We look at it and we've already, instead of going, I want this relationship, we've already said, ooh, I don't even want to talk to that person. I don't want anything to do with them because they might ask something of me. And it may not fit my little box. It may not be it. I may have to come from behind my gate or my fence. I may have to stop shopping online. I may have to come outside of the air conditioning. You know, isn't that what's going to be the problem? Today it's going to be 90 degrees. Tomorrow it's going to be a little hotter. Imagine those people down in Phoenix. So today in Phoenix it's 119 degrees. It's a dry heat. That's what they say. That's what they say about spices. It's just a dry heat. Now, see, here's the thing: is that 119 degrees is hot. I don't care what you say. It's hot. Tomorrow it's going to be 122 down there. Here's the thing: today and tomorrow, some people are going to die in Phoenix, and the reason why is because they don't have air conditioning, or they don't have adequate air conditioning, and they won't go out and have a relationship with somebody. They're going to go, I'm just going to sit here and suffer. Or there's going to be people that won't pick up the phone to check and see how their grandmother's doing or how their mother's doing, whoever's down there, or their father, or whatever it's down there. And those people are going to be like, I don't want to burden anybody with me dying. Because that's where we've gotten to in our world now, is people feel that they're burdening somebody else by picking up the phone and calling. I don't want to burden them, so I just won't call them. I'd rather sit here and cook. That's what's going to happen. That's the bad part. So now if you know anybody down there, pick up the phone, make sure they got air conditioning and that it's working. Right? And if you don't know anybody down there, meet somebody who knows somebody down there. We're all connected, 7 degrees of separation, right? Or 6 degrees, or whatever we want to call it. We know somebody who knows somebody there. Send an Instagram. Turn on the AC, baby. Whatever. If you look at this and you go this, the Christians were devoted to themselves and occasionally got to church when they had time. No one was filled with awe because there was no signs or wonders performed by the believers. Very few of the believers were together. They almost had nothing in common because they had no real time with each other. If they sold something, they used the money to buy something better for themselves. They ate on the run. They kept to themselves, and they were too rushed to enjoy each other or give praise to God. They claimed love to God, but they didn't really love each other, and they felt very empty and alone. As a result, most people disliked them, and very few people were saved. See how that was rewritten for us today? Because that's really what's happening right now. Our lives have gone from what was happening at the Acts Church to what I just read. We've taken this and we've said that Christians devoted themselves to themselves instead of to each other. It's about us. It's about what we get. No one was filled with awe. Because the signs and wonder didn't happen because everybody was too busy at home doing what they wanted to do. Nobody talked about the changes that was happening, how God was moving in their lives, how God was delivering them from different things. Do you know how powerful your testimony is? Do you understand how powerful what God has done in you is going to be for somebody else, and you hold it back. That's what happens. As Christians, we tend to go, nobody wants to hear about my testimony. Yes, they actually do. They actually need to hear about your testimony. They need to hear what you've done. They need to hear what God has done through you in order to get you from where you were to these seats right now. And so for some of you, you're going, that wasn't a very far journey. I bet it was further than you think it was. Especially with the gate, the garage door maybe not working, the air conditioning. You were like, the air conditioning's out. We got to go to church. It's working there. But sometimes things have to happen in order to get you here. That testimony is powerful. It's amazing when you start looking at it. We're called to share the love of Jesus. It's a dependent, independent relationship. We're dependent upon Him in order for us to have that grace, but we're independent because we're called to go out and to share and to give it out, to be able to pour out into others. A personal relationship with Jesus that's supposed to be shared with the community. We're supposed to have this personal intimacy, but we give it away as well. Those are the things that we're called to do. And how do we start doing that? How does it happen? Where does it go? The first one is with other believers at church. This is how we build the base. We do it right here, right now. Hebrews 10:25, one of my favorite verses in the Bible, because this is so happens, we run away, and it says, and let us consider how we may spur one another towards love and good deeds. Let us consider how we can help one another, how we can help one another grow closer, get more love, be able to pour out, do good deeds, not giving up meeting together as the same are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. And all the time you see the day approaching. So you start looking at this and start thinking about it. It says we're supposed to come together, encourage one another, to grow, to get out there, to do life together, help one another love, to go do these good deeds. Because there's another verse that says, let's not get tired of doing good deeds because we will reap the harvest. Start thinking about this, because what happens is this Saturday we're getting ready to do the restoration project. We're going to go out and serve this community. It gets tiring sometimes. Sunday mornings, you get up in the morning. For some of you guys, it's just coming to church. For other people, they showed up this morning here at 6:45 in order to make coffee, in order to serve a meal to 15 guys who don't have a place over their head right now. They slept, this was the place over their head. They slept on our floor last night. And people came to serve food. Or other people that got up early this morning to help cook the meal that most of us partaked in. The burrito was delicious. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. And so you get up this morning, and there's people that go, it's more important to be able to give and to be able to pour out and to help others grow and to be able to go, you know what, I'm just called to do this. The thing is that we get tired. It's hard to do, and your body goes, I'm tired. Or, they're not here. Kyle and Gabby, they help tremendously with the kids' room. You go in the kids' room now, the ceilings and everything. You start looking at it, you start going, wow, what a transformation. It happened because people came in and they said, you know what, I'm not tired of doing good. I want to help. And there was encouragement with one another. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being part of this. Because I'm just doing it for God. Right? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? We're supposed to be doing it because so often we do things and go, well, I love doing that because I get such joy in my heart. You should do it because God gets such joy in His heart by watching us serve and watching us being selfless and watching us give up and go, it's not about me. It's about helping others have a relationship and getting to know you. And it starts in this building. That's the thing. It starts here. It starts with us coming together and helping one another get through it. Presence is powerful. Your presence is powerful. And for those that are watching online, I'm telling you, it's different when you're in the building. Not only do we get to pray for you, we get to pray with you. There's a difference. Perfect example. I have two small children. 1 5, 1 10. They both think they're the older ones. The thing is that in our house we're kind of we're tech nuts because we have all the iPads and all that stuff. Well, the kids, as I upgrade, the kids usually get my downgrade. Here, I bought a new one, you get this one. There have been times where the kids will go, hey, let's watch the same movie, but they'll watch it in different rooms on different devices. instead of coming together and just sitting there and watching together. We've created this, hey, let's watch the same movie. But you're going to watch it over there because I don't want to be near you. Now, for kids, it kind of happens that way because they're brother and sister or whatever, and but that's how we've gotten with all of our relationships. We've gotten to this point where we're like, no. You watch it over there, I'll watch it here. A perfect example. How many people are going to watch the Warriors game today? Anybody? Right? You can all put your hands up. We're all going to watch it, right? Even if you're a Cleveland fan. How many of you are going to watch the Cleveland game today? How about that? There you go. See? So, don't boo. Hey. You got people that live here in this area. You got people that live in the other place. You got people that transplanted here because of the Air Force or whatever's happening. You got fans from across the world. I mean, we got Steelers fans here. Come on, you don't boo them. No. I mean, granted, different sports, but whatever, you know. But here's the deal. The thing is, nobody ever once said, hey, let's get together and watch it all together. We can't do that today, by the way, so I'm just putting it out there. Somebody else can come up with a building up for you, but I have some plans going on. But what happens is nobody said, hey, let's get together. It would be so much better to get together and actually have fun while doing this. Isn't that like, hey, let's have a watch party. Let's get together and be able to break bread and have fun and watch the game together. Never once came up because everybody goes, I'm going to go home and watch the game. Why? Because my house is comfortable. And I don't like people. That's really what it is. See, what happens is we've gotten to the point where we've reduced fellowship with believers and worshiping God to a podcast. We do it on our terms and our timing, and we go, I'm going to do it how I want to do it. I'll fit it in. Instead of going, I have to make it a priority. I have to make it a point. I'm going to do it when God is going to do it. I'm going to show up now. It's inconvenient. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be one of these easy things that happens. It's not going to be easy to worship God. You guys know that. It's not going to be easy to come out and go, I'm going to worship God, because there's going to be people that are going to pull at you from it to go, hey, we got to go do all these different things that prevent you from having that intimate relationship with God and intimate relationship with the people that are helping you grow closer. There's going to be all these different distractions that are going to pull you away from it. That's the devil at work. So, this last week, in my notes, I'll just give you a complete example. You're going to spend an hour on social media. So that means that you're going to spend 7 hours this week on social media. That's just to know. That's just this casual kind of known number. It's about an hour a day on social media. 7 days that you'll spend, 7 hours that you'll spend in a week. Did you spend 7 hours worshiping God this week? Did you spend 7 hours in the accompaniment of other believers, helping you grow, helping you get closer, helping you come to know who you are sometimes? 7 hours a week you spent and you've devoted to social media. And for some of you, that might be light. It might be 24 hours this last week that you spent on social media because there's nothing else going on. You're like, wow, I'm alone, I'm bored. I promise you, there's somebody else on social media with you right now that probably goes to this church that's alone and bored too. Reach out. Go do something together. Go to the park. Doesn't even have to cost any money. Go hang out. Go play soccer. That's what I do sometimes. I see somebody will call me and go, hey, I saw so-and-so at that place. I'm like, let's go over there. Let's see what's happening. He's like, how'd you know I was here? You're on Facebook. I'm a weird stalker. I'm here. Yeah, post it later. Just think about that, though. 7 hours a week, guys. That's a day a month on social media. That's a day a month, a full day. Do you spend a full day a month worshiping God? A full day? You have a hard time fasting for 3 days, a year. Oh man, I'm hungry. Yeah, because you're starving for the wrong type of attention. You ever notice that when you're busy, you can go without food? You ever notice that? You know, when you don't, when you have something going on, you're like, I don't need to eat. Obviously, I don't have a lot going on, but I mean, you know, the bad part is people like today. I was eating burrito, and they go, "Oh, you eat?" I go, "I do eat. It's not a lot. I don't know how this happens, but the thing is what happens is that you start. Completely lost my train of thought. But when you're busy, you're able to go through things. So when you're worshiping God, and you're really spending time with Him, you'd be amazed on how easy it is to go without Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or Twitter or wherever is out there. I don't know what it is that you're on, but I was just using Facebook numbers. Some of you, you've got the Instagram, the Pinterest, you got all these other things. You're at 4 or 5 hours a day. 4 or 5 hours a day. That's a day a week that you spend in worship to other people. That's crazy. You're worshiping what others have instead of worshiping the one who's given you everything. Here's the thing, though. If we understand it, we can change it, right? Now that we've brought it to your attention, you can look at it and go, I need to change that. I can do something different. So how do we start doing it, and what do we start changing about it? One, you start with a committed community group of people. You have to get together with people. You have to get together with a community of people that are pursuing God together. What's the secret? Long-term relationships. That's what the secret is. You start building long-term relationships. This church started because of long-term relationships out of a small group. That's where it started at. We took that small group, and those people knew us, and we had conversations, and they were like, yeah, we wouldn't see anything different. Long-term relationships. It just doesn't happen. Hey, I friended you on Facebook. Let's start a church together. It doesn't work that way. You get together and you have people and they start going, hey, let's do this. Long-term relationships are life groups. And you don't just go, how fast can we get out of this thing? 6 weeks, woo, we're out. Good. No. These are relationships that you get into and you start going over and you keep going and you keep growing and you keep going through it. Not trying to figure out how fast you can escape from it. Our group got so close together that we would meet at each other's houses, and the kids got to know each other. They would start tagging. I mean, literally, even today, I have to bring it up. But one of the kids from the life group decided he wanted to tag in my house. He wanted to tag inside of my. I know that you hear them laughing. They're back there right now because they're going, "That's our kid that he's talking about." But and you know it was him. Because not only did he tag his name, and it's not like a whole big, he didn't like put it in spray paint or anything like that. He just took a marker when it was convenient and said, I'm going to write that out. And he wrote his name, and the reason why you know it was because he put his birth date underneath. It wasn't like one of the kids were like, hey, let's get Evan in trouble. Put his name on the wall and sue. Nope, he signed it with his birth date and everything. And then when you go and ask him, hey, what'd you do that for? I wanted everybody to know I was here. Well, put the day you were here, not the day you were born. You know. But the thing is, it's something that we can talk about. It's something that it's not something that divided us. We actually have something that brought us closer. Those type of things bring us closer because we have something to share and laugh about. And you go, you remember when that happened? Because I promise you on his graduation day, when he's going through school, I'm going to be like, do you remember doing this at my house? Because it's still there. You're coming now and painting, buddy. You know, but those are the type of things is that I've been able to go to graduations. I've been able to do weddings. I've been at weddings from people that were in groups that I was part of. It's amazing to be able to share those experiences, those life experiences. There's nothing greater. And you're sitting there and you go, why wasn't I invited to that? Because you're not friends. You're Facebook friends. That's what it is. When you're close and you're tight-knit, you know that you're going to be there because they've talked to you about it. They probably planned the whole thing with you. Why wasn't I at this? Well, that's your fault, not theirs. Like-minded people get together a lot. You know, you start talking, you start seeing some groups. Groups have gotten together and they've helped remodel homes, landscaped yards, cleaned after service. They've cleaned up after events that we've had. They've given money to mission trips. They've given money to missions. They've given cars to people. Guys, you know that this church has given cars to people, right? It's not like, oh, there's a brand new $80,000. No, somebody had a need. We gave them a car. We've done it multiple times. That's what happens. We've helped with adoptions. You start looking at things and you start going, that's what happens when we communicate and talk to one another. The need, the burdens get lifted. We've cared for each other's kids. When Amory and Jackie, when Amory was deployed and Jackie was pregnant, their kids came to our house while she delivered. We had our kids for 3 days, 5 days. And there was never a question if they were safe or anything. They just, hey, this is what happens. It's because of a relationship. It's because of knowing each other. It's going, I know my kids are going to be safe. They never even called. Maybe that was kind of like, you keep them. But, you know. But it's amazing is that we have right now, I was, because I'm a Facebook stalker. You guys know that now. And I was watching, I was looking at it, I said, man, Lori is eating good right now. Man, people are just dropping meals off. And my wife goes, I've been helping part of that. I go, well, why are they dropping them off to us? I need to get sick, man. But I said, but meals are provided. People are being dropped off. People are dropping off meals and helping one another. They've taken trips together. You start looking at this. They've done Thanksgiving dinner together. That's relationships. You start looking at it, it's more than just showing up on Sundays together. It's about doing life with one another. You hear us talk about it so often. Let's do life together. It is a true passion here. Let's do life because we know what happens when we do life together. We know that we go from being a small group of 10 to a church of hundreds. That's what happens when we do life together, when we share experience, when we love one another. We go from so much, and we go, well, yeah, there was believers added daily. Why? It's because of the relationship of 10 that we've been able to expand and grow. And you start looking and go, well, why do we get together with this committed community of people? Because they're going to help us grow, and they're going to help us grow people. Not just the church, but they're going to help us grow people. It's not just about growing the edge, it's about growing God's kingdom. Remember that. Remember is that we're trying to grow disciples, not churches. This is where we got confused. Is that, oh, we got to put so many people in the seats. No. We have to put so many people in God's kingdom. That's what we have to do. The seats happen as a byproduct. People show up, and when the Spirit is moving, people show up to that. That's the reason why you go to revivals and tents in the middle of nowhere, and they're packed because God is moving. God is on the move. It's us that holds him back because we go, no, I don't have time for God to be on the move in my life. Got so much other stuff going on. Got to plan a trip. Got to do this. Guys, together, we can do things. Together, we do things here. I'll just give you some announcements. Together, we're going to the water slides. Was anybody part of that trip last year? The year before? I don't know. It's all run together now. We go to Great America. We go to River Cats games. We go to A's games. We go to Giants games. It's been a long time since we did one of those. But we do things together. Why? Because it helps us actually build community. Helps us get to know one another. Helps us get to love one another. And you know, it's amazing that when you go and you sit down with somebody at an A's game and they go, hey, I didn't know you were an A's fan. I didn't know you were either. Well, that's cool. You must not be a very, very good A's fan if nobody knew. I'm a Giants fan. I'll just announce that from up here. You know, it's amazing is that you come to the different events here and you see certain things. Like sometimes I show up and there's a cake here and I go, whoo, yum. And they go, no, that's for somebody else. How'd they know? Because they talk to one another. That's how they know. There's been so many birthday cakes here and cupcakes and all that stuff. It's about doing life together. You know, they always know. You got to give Mike a cupcake. That's kind of like the pastor's tax here. That's what it is. Give him a cupcake. He'll be happy. He'll turn on everything for you then. You know, but that's really how it works around here. You know, the other thing is what happens is that we cry together in sad times. When something happens, that we come together and we cry together. You know, we've experienced loss together. We've experienced joy together. Guys, you need a group of committed people around you to help you get through it. We need neighbors. And if we can't neighbor well in here, how can we neighbor well in the community? How can we go out into our communities and be loving if we can't even do it to the people we worship God together with? You know, it's kind of sad. And here's the reason why I bring that up is because, you know, anybody ever heard of refrigerator rights? Anybody ever heard of that? Like, Because if you're a part of my small group, you don't ask to go in my refrigerator. You already have those rights. You just go do it. You just go in there and you got to realize you walk into my kitchen, you're probably walking into a wreck. But you have refrigerator rights. It's simple as that. The question that I have for you is, do all of you have refrigerator rights? Do you have refrigerator rights at somebody's house, or even my house, or at anybody's house? And if you don't, then we need to get closer. That's just what it is. That we need to get to know each other a little better, because all of us are supposed to have refrigerator rights with one another. I should not front door rights, just refrigerator rights. I have to let you in. Don't be like, hey, I'm showing up, Mike, I'm staying. Those are different rights. But the refrigerator, if I let you in, go help yourself. The cups are right above it, man. Go, that's where they're at. And that's how it should be. We should have that ability to be able to go, if you're at my house, don't feel that you have to treat it as, you're at a museum, because it's not. It's lived in, and you're part of it. Like I said, guys, this is kind of that class on the New Testament meals. And the reason why it's that class on the New Testament meals is because they broke bread together and they did life together. It looked a whole lot different than what we're doing now. It's kind of sad where we've ended up at. You start looking at this, and I'm going to be finishing up here in a second. Well, you start looking at this when your family, and you start looking at the things that you've overlooked. Because things don't happen by accident. They just don't. It doesn't happen by accident. And so when we come together and we worship, you go, everybody loves God. Well, no. What it should be, it should be not only that everybody loves God, but everybody loves what the church is doing. We love God, and now we show that God through each other and through this building. How am I going to express this? How do I give this away? And so often we walk in sometimes and we're kind of disheveled and we're going in different directions. But I will tell you is that if we started getting love right in this building, that the people in here, the marriages would be amazing. And you would start seeing more children serving God and going out and doing more. And you'd start seeing people, the one thing that I was talking to somebody last night, or the night before last, at a wedding that we just went and did. We were having this conversation. And he told me, he goes, I hate Christians. It's like, that's cool, man. I go, a lot of times I hate Christians too. And he goes, what? I said, I hate when people call themselves Christians. I said, because the reason why is because most people in the Old Testament, or in the New Testament, they didn't call themselves Christians. It was like very, very dangerous to call yourself a Christian. You were going to get killed. But people knew that there was something different about them. People looked at them and said, there's something different about them. Those are the Christians. It was a derogatory term. It would be like somebody putting one of those names out there that you hate. It would be like being called that. That's exactly what it was like back then. And now we've self-identified ourselves with that statement. I'm a Christian. Do people know that you're a Christian? Can people see that in you? Or is it just you self-identifying yourself? And when I told him that, I said, here's the problem. And he goes, because people are always judgmental of me. They push me away. And I said, they probably weren't Christians then, because a Christian would show you love, would embrace you, and would do whatever it takes for you to have a relationship with Christ. Him and I ended up having a whole different relationship the next day, because he came to me and he said, I just want to thank you. And he was intoxicated, by the way. I'll tell you that on Friday night he was intoxicated. But on Saturday, him and I had a whole different relationship, and he came to me and he said, I want to see how much more that I come to appreciate how God can move in my life by somebody actually loving me and saying, that's not how all of us are. Guys, this church should be a place where people know that love happens here. And that it's not Christians that are walking in the door, it's people that love and follow God and with Christ, this example that he's laid out for us. We're trying to grow closer to Christ each and every time that we're walking in the building. Every time that we interact with somebody. Let others call us Christians. You just keep acting like one, going out and doing what God has asked you to do. Let other people call you and go, when they go, oh, what religion are you? Just a follower of Christ. That's what I do. And I love. I'm just a follower of Christ and a lover of people. That's what we should be doing. Let other people identify you and let them then go, why is it? There's something different. Nothing happens by accident. You have to be intentional about it. Be on purpose. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. Isn't that amazing? By breaking bread and loving one another. It doesn't say they went out and they were preaching. They weren't yelling at people in the streets. They weren't yelling at each other from the street corners. They broke bread and they loved with sincere and glad hearts. That's what they did. And people saw that and they said, I want to be part of that. That is so much better than the monotony I'm going through right now. The persecution I'm going through. Being broke, hurt, stressed, depressed, angry. Whatever it is. It's because we're not loving well. We're not being very neighborly. It's time for us to change that. It's time for us to walk out of this building today and go, you know what? I haven't been a good neighbor. You have to take this and you have to go, what am I going to do to change this? Does it start here? Does it start at your own home? Where does it start at? Because maybe you're not even being a good neighbor within the confines of your own home. You're not even being a good neighbor to your kids, your family, because they don't even know what it looks like that you love. So maybe you start there and then you expand to those that are close, but you start showing this love and you'll be amazed on how much growth happens around you. How many people come to know Christ just because they go, I want what you have. Because what you have is amazing. I hate to use the line, let's get love right, but that's what we have to do. Let's get love right. Let's pray. Father, thank you. Thank you for just those that are willing to sacrifice and those that are willing to show what love looks like, to just be selfless, to give it up, to just, say, I'm not looking for anything in return. I just want to be able to give back because I can. Father, give us the strength to help us love one another. Father, so often we think that people, we judge them and we go, you're not lovable, and all of us were created in your image and we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. We're all worthy of the exact same love from you and from each other. So, Father, we ask that you help us see with your eyes and open our hearts to be able to love and to be able to start going, to see our brothers and sisters and to carry those burdens and to carry those hurts and to be able to help one another get through these things. To where people look at us and go, there's something different. I want that. I want to be part of that. To where our actions speak so loud that no words are even needed. That we come together for teaching, that we come together for fellowship, that we come together and break bread, and then we go back out and we love on this community and we love together, and people know and identify us not as just Christians, but as lovers of people and lovers of and followers of Christ, and that we go out and we're intentional. And it doesn't happen by accident. It's on purpose that we love. We don't fall into it. We're intentionally driven to help make disciples. Father, we need the strength to continue to persevere when it's going to get rough. When people talk about us, people put us down, or they talk about our religion, or they talk about what we do. And so, Father, we ask that you help us grow through that. You continue to help us persevere, because we know that by persevering, it builds character, and that character builds strength. Father, thank you. Thank you for today, and thank you for the hearts that you're changing right now. It's in your Son, Jesus' name, that we pray. Amen.